And I was just going to say that when it comes down to bill of sale and things like that, for many of us foundational Black Americans, we have bill of sale of our ancestors. Some of us, maybe not all, just if you're doing like genealogy and whatever. 9 times out of 10, regardless of whoever, somebody's going to have a bill of sale of record. Those Africans don't have any receipts that says, hey, in exchange for, I think Wani said, in a bushel of 40, a bundle of 20, 40, 30, whatever. 40, they were human trafficking people in bundles of, 40, whatever, for a broken umbrella, a pack of juicy fruit, the 5-stick pack, not the 17-stick pack. That's what they were doing, and they didn't even get a receipt. But for some reason, once these kidnapped Africans were human trafficked on this side, people were getting receipts and bill of sale, and whether they were using it as tax write-offs or whatever, hundreds of years later, we do see the documentation that these sales did take place. This further proves our point that these Africans, in addition to being piss poor and documenting their own history and whatever, they were piss poor in trade, they were piss poor in commerce. It's very few things that we can look at these West Africans and say they excelled. And just by extension, even some of the other Africans, but mainly the West Africans, we can't see where they excel, not even in commerce. It's a basic teaching that you get a receipt, you get proof of what you paid for. That's basic, very basic. And the fact that this was a practice that was happening hundreds of years ago, because their bill of sales for our ancestors means that people have been doing this long before. This has been being passed down in American culture. American culture, this has been being passed down. So yeah, these people, they come in, whatever his name is, I guess he fell off his Spinster account. He lost some connectivity, electricity.
I had to move him down to this listener section because he was getting on my nerves.
Oh, okay. But either way, whether move down or whatever, like these people, they find audacity on the side of the road. They're riding on the back of a giraffe, on the side of an elephant, whatever. And they're like, oh, look, hey, audacity, however they pronounce it in their pidgin English. And they just come into our spaces with the audacity that they found on the side of the road while riding the back of a rhinoceros. And here we are. Here we are. These people are walking proof and evidence of all the things that we talk about.
Now, before we go to Muhammad, did you want to say something, Muhammad?
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying something about the language that you guys were talking about.
Sure, go ahead. Which language do you speak? Arabic?
I speak a couple of languages, basically.
What's your main language?
My main language is Somali language.
Okay.
So, I agree to some of the things that you guys were mentioning when it comes to languages, because looking at it for me from an objective point of view, it's true that Swahili is full of Arabic words. But the question is why, in my point of view? The first thing is because there is no such a language on the planet that is authentic, 100% pure. The question is then why?
100% what?
Yes, that's 100% indigenous. So let's say now if you look at English language is full of French. And,
I'm going to run through that. Don't worry about it. I'm going to run through all of the different phases English. But tell us some more about the Somali language and where it intersected with the Arabic language.
Okay. It's got something to do with two things. First of all, colonialism, and second of all, historical facts. Somali language is a language like any other language. It's an indigenous language that the people that live in the Somali Peninsula, so-called Somali Peninsula of modern terms, which used to be part of Kenya, part of Ethiopia, in today's world, and the mainland Somalia. So that language used to be written a long time ago in an alphabet that we don't understand nowadays. The reason why we don't understand it because it has something to do with the Pharaoh language. So the Nubes, the Somalis, the Sudanese, the Eritreans used to write it that way, and the Ethiopians before the Christian invasion of parts of Africa, especially in East Africa. And then from 600 AD to 1400 AD, the Arab Islamic Empire expansion happened in parts of Europe, parts of Africa, especially East Africa, and that's how they influenced parts of the languages for two reasons. One was colonial purposes, but the Islamic Empire were not as colonial as the Western empires. So the second reason is because of Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, when I was looking up Somali alphabet, it was saying that you are using Latin letters now, and before that you used Arabic script, and then you adopted the Latin.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, I don't know. I think my mic went out. So, did you hear what I was saying about 1950?
No. Could you please repeat the question because I couldn't hear you?
Okay, so in 1952, you had this Kadir script. In 1933, you had this Borama script. And in 1920 to 22, you developed a Osmania script. And these were before you officially adopted Latin script. And now it's in Latin, but it had a period of being in Arabic. So again, that just shows Somalis were talking, but they never had an alphabet to write these things down because they developed these scripts in the 20th century, and then they've just been writing things down with these other people's scripts and letters. So far, it just looks like the Egyptians are the only people that had the hieroglyphs and letters and the ability to write things down, write their history down over there in Africa.
I don't know about some of the things that you said, but as far as I know is, look, when you go back to parts of the archaeological discoveries in the coast of Puntland, basically what it means is what they used to call what was the kingdom's name? They call it Macrobian Kingdom. The Macrobian Kingdom was interconnected from Egypt all the way down to Somalia. So if you go to those mountains, you can find the archaeological handwritings of what they used to call those days that language. Now, somehow, I don't know how that language was lost, but what I know is from 600 AD onwards, Somalians and Eritreans are part of Ethiopia, where one of the few people on the planet that took Islam not by force, but by basically one of their choices, based on their choice. So then what happened is, from 600 AD onwards, the language transformed. Some of the things that you said, which I will tell you in a bit, is true, which is when it comes to the historical facts about the Somali language that's been went through from, 1309 all the way down to 1882, and then from 600 AD to 1400 AD. So when did the Somalis took their language to be written in Arabic alphabet was from 600 AD. So from 600 AD all the way down to 1882, the Somali language used to be written in Arabic because of the Islamic civilization had a huge influence on that part of the world. Now, so
anything after that, before that?
Yeah, anything before that. They used to write it. You could. That's why I said to you, you could still actually find it in the archaeological mountains of Hargeisa. If you go to places like Punj, you can still find it written on the walls. But can we read it?
Hold on. I done said I entertained this, and I heard you said punt, right? Sir, you're aware that that's Egypt, that's Kemetic. That has nothing to do with West African lineage, sir. You are aware of that, right?
No, he's Somali.
Oh. No, I'm not talking about West Africa, Professor. I'm not talking about West Africa. Okay. I'm talking about East Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about
East Somali.
Africa.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, so no problem. So basically, look, the Somalians, the Ethiopians, parts of Ethiopia, and the Nupe tribes, they had something to do in terms of connectivity and kingdom with the pharaohs. That's historically proven. If you look at how they used to dress, how they dress nowadays, how they do things, the language that be written on the walls that I was telling you about archaeologically, it's all the same. Now, how that language...
a connection? The relationship is primarily linked to the ancient Egyptian expeditions to the land of Punt. The Horn of Africa, which is modern day Somalia, they do have a connection. They were a part of that. They were some of the
kingdom,
people we call Egyptians. They were part of the system.
Yeah. So about the last bit that you said, which was the transformation from Arabic. First transformation was from the original language of that part of the world. Ethiopia writes its own language. It has its own alphabet. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. Eritrea does the same thing. So the influence of the Islamic Empire changing the Somali language from what it used to be to an Arabic, although they have never been colonized by the Arabs. And then when the Western colonies came in 1882, they divided the Somali Peninsula into three parts: French, the Italian, and the English. So the mainland Somalians, they fought, but the French part, they did not fight, and the Italian part partially did not fight, but the other part fought also as well. So what they did is Somalians transformed the language from 1962 to a Latin alphabet. So now the question is why? Because of then it was Somali government. So basically it wasn't colony concept. So the reason why I think the government that did that was Mohammed Siad Barre's government. Why did they do that? For one reason. That was what they actually came up with. They said because the Arabic language that was written in the Arabic alphabet that was written in the Somali language, the civilization has declined, meaning they don't advance technology, research, and all that kind of thing. So they came up with, in order for us to be able to keep up with the advancement of knowledge, we need to change it from this Arabic alphabet to a Latin alphabet. Did that work? Yes, it did. Kind of worked because of the Somalians were open for Western universities. So the British, we went to Oxford and Cambridge and all that kind of stuff. If you go back to the individuals that used to run the government those days, and somehow, was it good or not? In my personal opinion, no. But I would like to conclude with one thing about what you guys were saying about Swahili. Basically, in Somalia, we don't speak Swahili, but part of Somalia that's been given to Kenya do speak Swahili because the British gave it, because when they were upset with the Somalians, they gave it to the Kenyans. Swahili language is being influenced by three groups of people. By the Arabs, by people that we used to call the traders. Also by those people that used to do the trade, they did not do only trade, but they also used to buy slaves from Africa. So because of that trade connectivity, the language has been influenced, Swahili language. So some of the words, if you look at it, are from India, and some of the words, if you look at it, are from Arabic words. But in my personal opinion, I think because of the world connectivity through trade and colony, every language has been influenced. If the question is, is there any African country that writes its own language with its own alphabets? I only know two, because we just got to be intellectually honest. Those two countries are Ethiopia and Eritrea.
No, and Ethiopia doesn't have its own alphabet. They have what's the alphabet they have? They have an Arabized alphabet too.
But so I can read only. For example, for me now, I read Arabic. I read and write Arabic, but I cannot read the Ethiopian alphabet. The Ethiopian alphabet is like the Chinese alphabet, something similar to that.
I'm not saying you can, but that's those letters they're using, they're Arabized. I don't know what that means, but that script, GE''EZ.
Yeah. I really don't know, because
that's never... Arabized. Let's run through the roots of English, if you want to call it that.
Oh yeah, the roots of English.
It's very interesting because 4,000 to 2,500 BCE, you have the beginning of the Proto-Indo-European language. And it's spoken by steppe people, because this is where white people come from. They come from the steppe. They literally originate from the steppe region, which is now modern-day Ukraine, Russia, Kazakhstan. So this spread all over the place. It's the Indo-European language. So then the next group it became a Proto-Germanic language. So they have some things going on with them. Then it took an Anglo-Saxon Old English turn from the 5th century to the 11th century. And this migrated to what's now northern Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands. It blended into Old English. Then we have Middle English. This is where Black Americans can come in. After the Norman conquest, the English absorbed thousands of Norman, French, and Latin words. So you see, it's not very pure language. Then they had some French spellings in there and all kinds of stuff. Then we get to modern English. The Renaissance added the vocabulary from Latin and Greek. Then you had colonization, which added words from Spain, the Netherlands, even Arabic. And I don't even know what this one is. I can't even pronounce it. But it's in English. And then the effects of colonization brought different words from different people from everywhere that they colonized. And so the deep root is Proto-Indo-European from the Pontic steppe. And then direct ancestors are Proto-Germanic, Southern Scandinavian and Northern Germany. And then they have the tribal Britons, Anglo-Saxons, Jutes, and other groups. And then it's heavily reshaped by Norman French, Latin, and global borrowings. So again, we are a dynamic group of people, and we've affected Middle English and Modern English. We don't have any reason to feel embarrassed or anything about this language. This is a language that is living. This is a living language, and it's not pure. It's not from one group. It's from a whole lot of groups, and we're genetically part of one of the groups. We don't like to talk about that, but we are 25% English from plantation activities. We're also have a lot of us have partial Northern European ancestry from activities outside of the plantation, where we have a lot of Scandinavian people living in triracial isolates with Native Americans and Black Americans that were not on plantations. We have a whole history of interactions with these people. And so, like I said, we speak English. We don't speak, nobody shames Polish people for not speaking Polish. And when they're here in America, we're getting a level of attack that's like no other. Nobody shames Italians for speaking English while they're over here in America. Nobody shames Swedish people. They've been over here a long time. They're Viking settlements. No one shames them, but somehow Black Americans are shamed? No. We refuse to be on our heels anymore. We're not going to be ashamed of anything anymore. This is our language, and we've affected it like no other group of people on earth. We're the most powerful group of people on earth. Like I said, if you can look up Inuit jazz, that just goes to show you our reach. Even the Egyptians didn't have the kind of reach we have. The Egyptians didn't affect Inuits. They didn't even know they existed. They didn't affect Aboriginals. They didn't make people in Australia feel good about being brown. They didn't even know who they were. So we have a very strong reach, because I can name any country on this planet and they'll have a version of rap. I can name any kind of country I want to name, and they'll be over there singing doo-wop music or playing rock or playing some form of our music. So I'm not going to feel ashamed about anything culturally from anybody. Next.
Right. Well, I want to quickly say, Wani, that's a good point. That we do have those lineages, and we're not claiming to be anything other than foundational Black American, but we are an amalgamation of different things, which kind of negates the whole thing of you're an African. No, I'm not. If we want to be technical about it, I'm a whole lot of different things. So it was a good point.
And if I can say to our dialect, in addition to music, there really is nothing that foundational Black Americans have not done that globally affects global culture, even our dialect. If you look at politics, if you go to the White House social media pages, you will see how not only our music, but our dialect is influencing politics and marketing. You'll see in all types of marketing, the commercials that you see, whether it's Super Bowl, a time that is that's a time for huge advertisement, smaller advertisements, it doesn't matter. How we speak English, our dialect, whether we choose to use proper grammar or not, the dialect that we have created is influencing people. Nobody is running around the world saying a beg. Nobody cares to say that. Nobody's interested in saying that. That's not being randomly thrown into marketing. Find me a commercial that people see worldwide in the United, or a TV show. People see American TV shows, or even TV shows with foundational Black Americans. We don't really have, outside of like British TVs and shows and things on PBS or whatever, it's gone now, but BritBox, whatever. None of us watch Luther with Idris Elba and just start speaking a British accent. We're not interested. We don't care. But you know what Idris Elba did do? And Damson and Idris and all of these other people of African descent that are in the UK, you know what they did do? They came over here to learn how to speak, not the Queen's English, not the United States type of English. They learned how to speak our dialect so that they could go up there and, for good or for bad, for better or for worse, come in and usurp roles that could easily be given to foundational Black Americans. We're not doing, this is not a vice versa type of thing. We're not interested, not that these people have any significant figures that we want to portray in that way. But even if we did, we're going to do a damn good job at it. But most of the time, it's a one-sided thing where our dialect, how we speak, how we talk, the cadence, all of that, and how people on the West Coast talk, how Damson Idris had to be taught how to speak for his role in Snowfall is not the same way that Idris Elba, and I'm using this loosely, had to be taught how to speak as we do in Baltimore City. Nobody can be taught how to speak like us. But, I'm saying that because nobody could teach him that. But he was able to speak enough that he had to finally come out and say, oh, like, I'm a British actor. This is just cultural influence that nobody can deny unless they're just making a choice to lie.
Yeah, no cap. Dr. Ward, what are your thoughts?
So I got a couple of things I like to say. So one of the reasons English has propagated throughout the world in post-colonial times is because they all want to learn the lyrics to black music, and that's been a major influence in the reason why a lot of people learn English is because of us. It's not the main reason, don't get me wrong. The main reason English has exploded is because it's the language of business. But another reason is because they want to learn our music, and they actually like learning English because it's actually fun for those people because they can learn our music, our musical lyrics. Something else though that y'all got rid of him, but that Nigerian guy, he was saying that we are like they're our ancestors, like we are them. That's not true anymore. We are different people. That's as ridiculous as saying today that it would be as ridiculous as a Chinese person telling the Japanese that you are them. I mean, you are they. The Japanese are a different people. They're a different ethnic group. They may have had their origins in China, but they're not there anymore. They don't even look like Chinese people if you have a good look at them. And the same thing with us. If you have a good look at us, you can see we're not African. And they speak a different language in Japan. I mean, the Japanese language is not related to the Chinese language. It's a
isolate.
It's a Ryukyuan language. It's part of the Ryukyuan languages. Now there is some controversy that the Ryukyuan languages and all those other languages that they have a common origin, but that's controversial amongst linguistic scholars. So just like the Japanese, they adopted the Ryukyuan languages. We in America we adopted in different languages too.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau?
I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on OurStoryPublications.com and use the Cash App, $Our Story Publications.